Hey everybody, can you hear me? Let me know. I'll make sure everything's working before we jump on here. You should hear some music maybe just in the background a little bit. Hey, that's great. That's great. It's been a while since I've streamed. I don't know how to do anything anymore. Don't worry, it's gonna happen though. I'm 40% ready. 40% seems good, right? Feel like that's pretty good. Beauty. Beauty. Just putting some stuff together here. There we go. It's looking good. All right. I think we're good to jump in here. All right. Well, hey. Hey there. Welcome. Welcome to another live time. Let me tweak a setting here, make sure we're all good. Let me just tweak a little setting. Let's do a little more bits here. All right. Hey everybody. Welcome to the stream. I'm so glad you guys are here. This is so much fun. I'm so excited to hang out, talk some Fusion, just chill with you guys. Haven't got to do that much lately. We've been working real hard. We've been busy little beavers around here. We are working on a still somewhat secret project that should be out if everything goes to plan in a couple weeks. We'll see. But it's like the coolest thing we've made for a long time as far as educational content goes. It's a little glitchy. I'm sorry. It is a little glitchy, isn't it? What's the deal with that? Ooh, it's because it's dropping frames. Why is it dropping frames? I don't think I have anything else going on. Ooh, it sure likes it though, doesn't it? Network. Okay, let me tweak another thing real quick. Maybe it doesn't want to do that. That's weird because we have like bomb internet, so I don't know why it's being dumb. Let's just make sure everything's working here. Man, it's really dropping frames though. That's weird. Should get better though here in a second. Still dropping them. That's strange. That's strange. I don't know what to do about that because it usually just works great. Looks like it's dropping a frame like every few seconds. No, it just keeps going. Dang. Looks okay now? Okay, well, hopefully we can deal with that. I really don't want to be dropping frames all the time. That just makes everything worse. Okay. Let's keep trucking on that. I'm trying to think of what I can do to make that a little better. This brings me back to my streaming days. Image is what's lagging. Well, we don't want that. We don't need a lagging image. Let me, is it okay? Okay. Whatever. We're gonna go with it. If it gets unreasonable, please let me know. The resolution, it should be totally fine. I don't know why it's being that way. Okay, guys, let's get on to it here. It says there's an excellent connection. Who knows? Who knows? All right, I'm gonna switch to Fusion here. Shabba. There we go. Hey guys, so here's how it's gonna work. There is a link pinned to the top of the chat up there, and it's white, at least on mine, and it says "Ask Casey a question." And go ahead and put your questions in there, and I'm going to primarily draw from that spreadsheet that is filling up, and that way we can keep things reasonable here, and it isn't like just trying to track down the chat half the time, which is the only part that's not so great about doing these kind of things. Is things can tend to be a little bit scattered. So let me adjust my window here just a touch. There we go. One moment. My phone's decided that even though a scam is likely, it says scam likely when I look at it, even though it's the scam likely, it's gonna ring anyway. And I'm like, if this is scam likely, why are you ringing? Just ignore it, man. If you already know. That's crazy. Guys, thank you for hanging out here. So, put it on the stream. That can be a Kit Boga stream. That'd be fun. That would be fun. Guys, thank you for being here. We are going to be talking about Fusion, and I'm going to take some questions from the form that is up there. And yeah, guys, I'm just really glad to be here. So let's jump in, and I'll do my best to respond to these questions and explain things the best I can. I won't be able to do everything. There's some things that will take too long or be too complicated or whatever, but we'll try it. Okay. Jonathan says, is there a way in Fusion 3D system to make reflections, e.g. have a reflection of an object in the scene? Off of an image plane, or can we only try and fake it by duplicating the object and flipping it? As far as I know, you can do that. I don't know if it reflects the objects. I know you can reflect the environment, but let's try it real quick. Let's try it. I haven't tried it for a while. So let's do I'm thinking that in it'd be the USD stuff. So like, let's do a U shape and then like another U shape. Sure. And then a U render. Let's just bring that up and just see how it's going here. So let's just keep one capsule. Let's make one of these a plane. And let's make the plane bigger. And let's just see. I don't think you can, but we're going to try it anyway. How about that? This material, we're going to take the roughness all the way down and the metallic all the way up. We're going to look at this in the render. I don't think it's actually going to do that, because that would be like ray tracing and stuff, and I just don't think that's gonna. I don't think that's gonna work. I don't think there's a way to do it. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure it doesn't work though. It'll reflect things like the U dome light. You can put one of those in there, and that will reflect stuff from that. We just need to grab a HDRI of some kind. Oh boy, I don't remember where I put anything. Let's try it. Let's do... Cool. So this we can add a dome light with an HDRI. Do I have this set up right? Oh, I need scene. There we go. There we go. So yeah, you can you can do stuff like that with the HDRI kind of thing, but it's not the same as what you're asking. So yeah. So as we move this like back and forth, we can see the reflection from the HDRI. But yeah, it doesn't do that. Sorry. My track always seems to wobble around a little bit, says Matt Robinson. I've tried all the trackers, added more tracking marks, and watched all your tracking tutorials. I've been doing something wrong. Some button I haven't pushed or some checkbox I need to check. It's a very consistent problem from shot to shot for me. Okay. There's a YouTube video. So the video is like a panning shot across like a house. And yeah, that would be tricky because there isn't everything in the same, it's like off screen half the time. That would be pretty tricky. I'm wondering, so how I would go about that is I would be making a really big planar tracker that just spans the entire width of the shot, and then have it pick up tracking markers from all the way across it. I would try that first. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna move on. In your opinion, is it worth using plugins in DaVinci for Fusion? And in general, do you feel like it's better to learn X and Y yourself? Depends on the plugins, I guess. It depends on what it is. If you're talking about like animation or motion kind of stuff, I would recommend that you do know some of it yourself, but I would certainly be fine with getting plugins too, just because you'd want to make sure you have that base understanding. If it's something that completely gets rid of like a base understanding, I would recommend at least figuring out basically how something works before you rely on a plugin all the time. But that said, I mean, especially plugins like noise reduction and things like that, dude, I would use those all the time for sure. Okay. Jason asks, I have a question. Once you mask a running person and remove the background, I go to the edit page and try to move the position of the masked subject. Anytime I try to reposition it, it vanishes. Why does this occur, and how can I move my cool new masked subject around? I haven't seen that. I don't know why it would do that. If you're talking about like you have a Fusion comp and you remove the background and then you bring that Fusion comp into the edit page and then you just move it around with like the transform controls, it should work. I don't know why it would do that. Hey, Fun Filaments. I finally get it. I made my first title using Fusion alone. Thank you for your encouragement in your videos. Hey, that's awesome. I appreciate that. That's cool. Quick thanks for all the work you do. Learned a lot from you. Thank you. I appreciate that, you guys. That's cool. That's cool. Oh, Jake Whip in the house. Hey, Jake, how you doing, man? Handsome Tim in the house. That's right. Oh, you guys. All right. JB, you're a very new member and user of DaVinci Fusion. Well, welcome. Glad you're here. All right. Let's do a couple more. By the way, if you guys don't know, there is a form that you can fill out, and I'll try and get to as many questions as I can within our time. We'll probably be here another hour and a half, somewhere in there. Okay. What motion graphic tools do you think we need the most in Fusion? Ooh. Omar, do you mean like plugins, or do you mean like the nodes? Let me know in the chat. How do I zoom out from a live scene to show that the scene is being shown on TV? They used to do this effect on the TV show Las Vegas. Well, you'd have to replace the screen of the TV and then zoom it out. So you'd have to like do a track on the TV screen and then probably do a digital zoom into it and then zoom out that way. That's how I do it. Like nodes. Okay, yeah, we can take a look at that. That's cool. All right, let's do it. So motion graphics nodes. Let's talk about it. The big ones that I use, a background node is great. Just a basic color like that. You can also do a lot of stuff with background node. You can switch this from solid color to something like 4-corner, and you have all kinds of cool ways that you could adjust this and make it look cool and do these kind of different colors and everything. So that's great just for making kind of like basic backgrounds and stuff. One thing that I do quite a bit is I'll make a background, like let's say we'll make it kind of red like this, and then I'll just copy and paste this background and make it like a yellow, and then put this over and then just mask it like this, and then do like a soft kind of thing. And so we'll have like a little sunburst kind of thing. I do stuff like that a lot. That's pretty helpful. Sometimes make this soft edge a little more. So this is 0.2. Let's do like 0.6 or something. So just a nice subtle gradient. Do a lot of that kind of stuff. So I mean, backgrounds and masks, you can do so much stuff just with backgrounds and masks. It's super underrated, the amount of backgrounds and masks. And then let's see what else. Shape nodes are amazing. Are you guys familiar with shape nodes? Shape nodes are pretty sweet. It's the integrated vector system inside of Fusion. And so you can do cool stuff like, I don't know, let's just say S star. Sure, let's make a star. And we'll do 5 points. So we have this star. But then it's modular. So this is really cool. So any kind of shape, you can do all kinds of cool stuff with it. So you can make it into a grid just by running it through sgrid, right? You can have more cells like that, and it's all modular. And so you can adjust this size, this side, and it will kind of flow through to everything else. So cool. You can do like an S jitter on that, and then you could do like rotate, and it will do all kinds of crazy stuff like this. You could say random. Fixed is actually the best. I always think it's, never mind. I always think it's different than that, but yeah. And then you can kind of add jitter to your offset and all this kind of cool stuff. There's so many cool things you can do with shapes. So like, where is it? S change style. Super helpful. So if you have a bunch of shapes all together, you can run it through S change style and you can recolor them. That kind of thing. You can do an S outline and then just render the outlines for it. And then you could do cool stuff like this. You could say like, say we have our star like this. We could take the same star and then do like an S merge, plug this outline into it and run the star into the merge with a S change style like this. We can take this style and change this. And then we have this star that's being generated, and it's not just a star, but it also has a an outline. And when we change one, it changes the other. And you could have this even do something like S transform and do a different style like this, and then merge it over, and then take this transform and push up the size or something like that. And you can get all kinds of cool effects, and that's all just based on this one star. Isn't that neat? Just so cool. Change this style to be something different. So, I mean, it's just a super underrated way to draw things. It's a modular way to draw vector things. I mean, it's the coolest way to draw stuff, man. I'm so excited to dive into it more. We're going to be exploring more shape nodes and stuff here in 2025 for sure, because there's just so much to do. Okay, so those are kind of the big things, is shape nodes, background nodes, masks, but really like so many nodes you use for motion graphics. I mean, from drop shadows to color correction to, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff you use. Particles. Man, if you guys want to do more of that, let me know in the chat. How do I, okay. Which drawing pad is best for doing graphics work in Fusion? So the one that I use is the Huion Canvas, which is just like, it's like a Wacom screen. It's kind of the same thing. It's just cheaper. And I'm really happy with it. I think I really, really like it now. I tried a bunch of on the desk kind of pen things that weren't a display, but working with the pen display is next level. So much fun. So much fun. Will there be an Android version for Resolve? I have no idea. Maybe. How to make an effect which can apply to below a layer in the edit page, like layer 1, layer 2 effect, create an effect in Fusion, which is like an adjustment layer. Yeah. I mean, you can just open up an adjustment layer and open up the adjustment layer in Fusion. And that's like the quickest way to kind of get that going. I'm pretty sure Jake Whip has some videos on that kind of thing. Yeah. But you essentially make it into an effect that uses a media in. So like when you have a media in like this, you can decide that it's going to take it from the media pool or from the timeline. And so right here, if you switch to timeline, then it's going to use kind of whatever's under the comp in the edit page. All right. Vectors with nodes is super powerful. And as far as I know, only Fusion can do this. AE doesn't have nodes. Nuke doesn't have any shape node. Yeah, pretty cool. Will you bring like OG Fusion users like Pirates of Confusion, MyLab to its Jane U, etc. to Resolve kind of talk about showcase really cool and much advanced stuff, mentioning them since they've been using Fusion for over a decade more on complex projects. Yes, I would love to do that. I haven't talked with them personally, but would definitely be open to exploring that for sure. Ashish says, how do I import and use my .ply model or any 3D model in Fusion, not USD model? It looks terrible without the shadows. Basically, what I want to do is make a 3D Earth in Fusion, and I'm a beginner. I know a bit of 3D and 3D nodes. Please help me out. Probably the most kind way to give Fusion a 3D model is an FBX. I would do that. I love USD as well. I usually do USD or FBX. One of those will go into Fusion. I don't think the shadows are the problem with a 3D model because it doesn't really make sense to not use USD because you're afraid about shadows, because it handles shadows fine. I'm confused by that, but I would look into FBX. AI is taking jobs faster every few months now. Have you been seeing friends, coworkers, partners losing work from AI in your field with top software programs like DaVinci Resolve? I feel like that's a little blown out of proportion, honestly. I don't know. I haven't seen a lot of it. I'm not super plugged into a bunch of freelancers right now. We're kind of doing our own thing for the most part. But I don't know. It hasn't taken any of our jobs recently. I have been using it quite a bit just to kind of edit video, or not edit videos, but edit photos and stuff, and do things like extend the canvas and everything. Super powerful. I think it can be a really good tool if you use it wisely and are moral with it and that kind of thing. Yeah. Hey, PJ, good to see you. Can you join the points of the two stars you had showing a moment ago and have them bind together? Yeah, you could use like S-Boolean. So an S-Boolean kind of combines nodes together, or combines shapes together into one shape. Those are powerful. All right. Zarak from Pakistan. I've been following your amazing content for the past 1.5 years. Cannot thank you enough for your immense value it's brought to my life. Your channel's been a true blessing for me, not only in terms of knowledge, but also in opening new doors and opportunity. Even received job offers because of what I learned from your content. That is so cool. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. So, yep. That's really cool. Yeah. Asking if there is a discount on the course. We actually do have a discount on the course right now. Fusion Zero to Hero until Friday is $350 off, which is pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So if you've been looking at that, that is a great way to do it. There is a link down below. If you want to check that out, teaches you all of the basics of Fusion and gets into some more advanced stuff too. And we're going to be expanding that with some more advanced things in the future, which I'm very excited about. We're working behind the scenes on. Is it possible to make a complete video under one Fusion comp and then make it as a template for the same video format and just change the images and videos used? Yeah, you probably could. Depending on the video, you might want to do that a little differently. Not sure on that, but you could, yeah, you could do that. It's probably better to set that up in the edit page and have the Fusion parts like be effects that kind of use the clips under the adjustment clips or something like that. That would probably be quicker, probably be better. Yeah. I do some 3D modeling. You said it was possible to combine Fusion and Blender. Yes, you can export from Blender. You can export a USD from Blender and bring it right into Fusion, and it works wonderfully. It's great. You can also export an FBX. That works great too, depending on what you're after. Realistically, how much time per week would it take to become proficient in Fusion? My only node knowledge comes from color grading in Fusion. If you're sort of familiar with nodes in Fusion or in color, a lot of the nodes work basically like serial nodes. I would think that how much time per week? Well, when do you want to be proficient at it? I mean, if you spent 20 hours this week versus 20 weeks at 1 hour a week, I mean, I would say to be proficient, it depends on your background and stuff. If you want to be able to do stuff on a regular basis, like working through Fusion Zero to Hero is a great way to do that. And that tends to take, depending on how fast you go, like 5 or 6 weeks, maybe 8 weeks, something like that. If you do, a couple of lessons a day, something like that, I would say. So, but really it's about practice. I mean, you got to put practice into anything, and you got to kind of think, you got to change your thinking to the nodes, which we can dive into a little bit. If we don't have lots and lots of questions, I can kind of go into that if that's helpful for you guys. Dan, do you know, can we do like a straw poll or anything like that? Is that possible here on YouTube? If that's possible, I would like to see if we can vote on like what we want to deep dive on here. I'll kind of get through the rest of the initial questions first. Will you make tutorials based on features that are available in the studio version, not talking about the Fusion standalone, like the camera tracker that's only available in the studio version? Yes, I do have some tutorials that go into that, and we'll be making those. I tend to like to keep it open to everyone if they're using the free version, but there's a lot of great studio versions. Usually it's kind of mixed in to whatever I'm trying to do. I don't specifically have like a studio version tutorial and everything, because that's not how I use the software, and I don't feel like that's how most people use the software, you know. But something like the camera tracker, yeah. The camera tracker is something I'm still really learning about. It seems very finicky to me, and I haven't used it lots and lots. I am kind of trying to learn that more because I want to be able to help you guys get consistent results with it. But I haven't been able to get really consistent results with it. Granted, I'm not a match moving expert, but I have talked to match moving experts and they're telling me sort of the same thing. So yeah, it's really dense. Exactly. Camera Tim. It's a lot. Yeah. Yes. The live stream will be available afterwards. Here, I'll switch to big Casey mode while I'm just reading. I haven't been able to explore this myself too much, but have you noticed custom plugins get broken with just a black screen and no parameters showing from the edit page, but when you add that same tool macro to Fusion, it works just fine? Yes, I have seen that. I've seen that a lot. That's very common. I don't know why. I don't know why it does that. But yeah, that's been like the entirety, like as long as Fusion has been in Resolve, I've experienced that. When I render models with small metal inserts, the reflections flicker faster than the light could cause this flickering. Only the camera moves in these scenes. What can I do about it? It depends on, is that like a USD, Julia? Is that like a USD or is it like the standard 3D system? Can you make a black and white photo into a color photo in DaVinci? Yes, you can. It's not like an automatic thing. It'd probably be faster to do that with some kind of AI tool these days, but you could certainly do that just by making masks and colorizing things for sure. Boy, there's an issue that custom templates are broken. That sucks for everyone selling templates. Sorry, guys. That sucks. That's one of the reasons why I have not gotten into templates, is because I hate that. Sorry. There's a channel called Profitless. Dude, Profitless is amazing. I would love to hang out with that guy. So good. I've learned so much stuff from that guy. Yep. It's modeled in Blender, rendered in Unity. So wait. It's rendered in Unity? Like you're taking an export from Unity and then just bringing it into like as an image? Maybe I'm confused. Are you talking about in Fusion or are you talking about in Unity? Because I just don't know that much about Unity. With a Unity recorder of video. Well, that sounds like a Unity problem. I don't know how to, I don't know much about that. I'm sorry. I've always wanted to make cinematic videos and cinema storytelling. Can you suggest how I should use DaVinci Fusion, like in particular nodes and effects? That's like a huge question. Well, I would think of Fusion, depends on what you want to make. So if you're making just like movies, like you're shooting movies, then Fusion is like the thing that spices it up. But if you're doing something like animations or something, you could certainly make all of that in Fusion, right? Yeah, Julie, I'm sorry. I don't really have that great of an answer, but you're welcome. I have helped 0%, but you are welcome. I'm sorry. Can Fusion do the same type of modeling as Blender? No, not at all. What you can do in Fusion is you can put like basic 3D shapes into a scene. You can make 3D text. You can sort of model by making a shape and then extruding it. But I mean, it's not really modeling. It's kind of just extruding shapes. You can do that. And you can actually make a lot of cool stuff that way. In fact, if you want to, we could kind of dive into a example of that, which I can show you guys, but it's not the same as Blender. It really isn't. Blender's a completely different workflow and everything. And even if you could model stuff in Fusion, there isn't really a way to lay out UVs or anything, which is pretty essential if you want good looking 3D. Oh, I can do that from my dashboard. Okay. What questions do you want to poll the chat with? Would you guys mind suggesting things that you'd like me to go over here in the chat? Maybe a couple suggestions. So I'm thinking it's like we could go into 3D stuff in Fusion, which I think there's some people that want that. We could go more into shapes. We could do some VFX stuff. So 3D, shapes, VFX. We could just make like a motion graphic of some kind. Particles, we could do particles. Yeah. Maybe post a couple of those. And we'll vote on what we want to kind of dive into here for a few minutes. I do gameplay video and was wondering what the difference between zooming in on the edit page versus Fusion. I struggle tracking objects. Oh, this is why. It's like, why can't I? Okay. Tracking objects and get black bars dancing around. I struggle with most gameplay effects people use, like pop-up text subtitles that follow my voice. So there isn't really a difference between zooming in on the edit page versus Fusion. When you're talking about just zooming into a piece of video, it's going to do essentially the same thing. The advantage to Fusion would be if you want to keyframe that and adjust the keyframes in a detailed way, you'd want to do that inside of Fusion, probably. But as far as quality and kind of the basic idea of it, it's the same. If you have the black bars coming up, that's because you're probably zooming out too much, or you're kind of going off of the edge of the video in some way, which there isn't really a way around unless you do something really tricky like duplicate the edges or mirror the edges or something. You can sort of do stuff like that, which is somewhat helpful. Okay, I struggle with consistently bringing in layers from a timeline while Fusion adjustment clips. Any tips? Sometimes the media in node sees the layers in the parent timeline easily. Other times it seems just not to see any media beneath it on the timeline. My goal is to be able to create Fusion adjustment clips like transitions that are able to modify video on track 1 and track 2 individually, like cropping or a layout preset, for example. Yes. I haven't done a lot of that, and I also have trouble with that sometimes. This is even Fusion, even Fusion, which is like 1/7 of Resolve, has so many different things, and that like the presets and having effects that affect things under it is not something I'm like really, really into. But Jake Whip is great. Patrick is great. Camera Tim has done stuff like that. And they can all probably advise on that a lot better than I could, because I would just be kind of derping through it, probably like you are. Unfortunately, I'm more into the doing the detailed stuff in Fusion sort of thing. So sorry. I struggle with, oh yeah, okay. Could you refer a Fusion course? I could. There's actually a link right down below to Fusion 0 to Hero. And that is $350 off this week, which is pretty cool. And it'll teach you pretty much everything you need to know about Fusion to actually use Fusion as a professional and get really deep into it. Yeah, so it is an investment, but it's a really big, very, very good course. So that's why. What's up, William Justice? That guy's a genius. How's it going, man? Previous question, Tim, was bringing in layers from the timeline. Here, I'll just copy and paste it because talking. Oh boy. Never mind, it doesn't like me, I guess, for some reason. Okay, well, my mouse doesn't work, so that's where I'm at. That's how my day's going. He's basically asking, like, how do you... I'll just read it again. I struggle because sometimes the media in node sees the layers in the parent timeline easily. Other times it seems like it's just doesn't see the media beneath it in the timeline. Yes. So it's like making adjustment clips that, you know, do like picture-in-picture effects and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so we have our poll here. What stuff should Casey go over on stream? So we had a little bit of particles, a little bit of 3D stuff, shapes, and we have compositing visual effects. Okay, so a lot of people want compositing visual effects, which of course is a huge, a huge category, which we could do a bunch of stuff from. Let's just bring something up and we'll just do some magic to it. How about that? Let me grab something. Let me grab something here. You wouldn't be able to use this method as it modifies everything below it. You can't limit it to just one video below it. Oh, maybe that's what's up then. All right, let's grab this train ride video, which you might have seen in one of my videos here, but let's just play with it. Okay, so when you see this video, what's something that you would like to know how to do? What kind of changes, what kind of visual effects should we talk about doing to this video? That's kind of a fun little thing, huh? Let's see how that goes. Because, I mean, this just, visual effects is just a huge, huge thing. About to get sunglasses. I did put sunglasses on her on a tutorial. That's true. Make it a space train. Ooh, digital makeup. Yeah, we could do all of that stuff. Put a tattoo on her face. Yeah, we could do that. Liked what you did in that video. Thanks. We actually might, let's put this in a timeline so I can chop this and make things easier since we're doing it live. That'll work. Heat vision. Recolor her jacket. Okay. Can we change what goes in the background by the window? Yeah, we could do that. That's the thing. It depends on how much work you want to do. Anything is possible in Fusion, but it depends on how much time and energy you have and how well this is set up for that. So, for instance, changing the color of her jacket might be something you'd want to do in the color page, maybe. It also is a little bit difficult because it's not a super saturated jacket. Yeah. But essentially how that would work would be you would track this. Let's just make this a little bit shorter so we can talk through this and not have it be infinite. Let's do this. Okay, great. We're just going to take a couple seconds because nobody wants to see me roto for 9 hours, right? I mean, we could do a see me roto for 9 hours course if you want. Make her flying through space, yeah. So, I mean, really depends on what you want to do for any kind of effect. But let's just get this set up here. Let's say we want to have her going through space. This isn't really set up to do this really easily. But it would essentially be, we need to cut out the window, we need to cut out her, and we need to put space behind there. We need to put a fake window in, and we need to make sure that all works together and is all kind of tracked together. So to do something like that, I would start out, I would start out probably by tracking like this, and I would track not her, but I would track everything else. I'm just making a shape that isn't her. Oh boy. Let's see, what am I doing here? There we go. Something like that. Set the track. Let's make this not perspective. Let's do translation, rotation, and scale. Set track. Go track. So we're going to track that background, and this might work. Let's see. Let's go to steady and see if it steadies it. Okay. It's sort of working. Turn her into Ghost Rider. That'd be crazy. Okay. That's probably going to need a little bit better track. So let's do something crazy. Let's make a brightness and contrast node, and let's just push up some of this and kind of get that texture working a little better for us. Doing a little bit more work on the edges here. Then let's take this. Okay. Again, translation, rotation probably works. Okay, go and track it back. Okay. Let's see if that's going to go. Let's switch this to steady. That is also bad. Sometimes you get a track, or you try and track it, and it just isn't having it. One thing we could try and do is like a point track. So we could just say tracker. And we could grab this IntelliTrack, and let's see if any of these stay on screen, because that would just be super. That would be super. I think some of that is going to stay on screen. Let's try this little bit here. See if that'll go. Let's track that back and forth. Looks like it's working. Okay. We're going to make another IntelliTrack like this. And let's find another dot that stays on screen. This should work right here. Track that back and forth. Okay, so now we can use both of these, and we can use this to put things over the background. So let's just use this. Say operation match move. We'll put some text here. So this should stick to the background if we did it right. Let's see if we did it right. Yeah. Yeah, that's good. It'd be nice to choose the timeline layer below the Fusion comp. That'd be really hard to implement. Am I crazy for thinking that that's a thing in some fashion? Maybe I'm crazy. Can you crop out that pole that comes in at the end? Yeah, we could. We could just go on these next. We could just chop this for demo's sake. But let's just leave it for now. Okay, so that's somewhat attached to the background. So we would need some kind of like space going by. So hey, let's just make some stars. Fast noise. Take this color. Take the black alpha up. Push up the detail. Push up the contrast a lot. Push up the brightness. Push down the brightness a lot. Push up the scale a lot. Push up the scale a lot. 60 maybe. Take the brightness down to like -6. I don't know. Let me push that up, and look, we have stars. Yay, stars. That's an old After Effects trick right there. Same thing. All right, couple more questions here. When buying 0 to Hero, do I get lifetime access? Yes. Yep, lifetime access to the course. As long as the course is available, which that is our plan, to have it available for as long as our company is a thing. What kind of equipment do you suggest working with DaVinci? I'm currently a PC user. I usually build my own PC due to my hobby. of gaming, but faffed around with Mac a bit, so I'm not alien to the OS. I use a PC, but dude, the new Macs are pretty good. They're pretty good. Blackmagic, in my experience, tends to favor getting things working first on Mac. They like Macs. So that's something to think about, but it doesn't really matter is the short answer. It doesn't matter that much. I use both. Let's make these stars a little bit bigger. Macs have a lot of color space issues though. Yeah. PC is easier in that way, I'd say. Okay, so we have these stars, and so let's put this on top of everything. Let's actually put this here in the tracker like that. So now we have the stars moving around. They should be moving around. There we go. They should be moving around. So we should be able to see space behind her. We just got to cut her out and mask this and all kinds of stuff first. So let's do it. One thing we could do would be to just add a mask to our fast noise. It's possible we'll have to reposition this mask here in a minute, but this is a quick way to do it. Let's just see how that goes. We might also be able to do like a matte or something on this, but this is going to be quick enough. It's fine. Okay, and I think that will move along with it. Yes. Do the soft edge a little bit. Something like that. One thing we might want to do is run this through a brightness and contrast and clip the black and white. You see why I did that? So this, when we up the contrast on this fast noise, what it actually does is it makes these blacks super black, like not just really black, but like lower than 0 black. And to bring that back into the realm of possibilities, we use this brightness and contrast node. I don't do anything other than just clip the black and white. And look at the edges. Look what this does to the edges. So here's, without it, we get kind of this clipping in the blacks. And then with it, it's nice and soft, how we thought. Yes, yes. All right. Okay. Is there an easy way to use and combine the various color channels to create a luminance mask in order to separate subjects from their background? Works well in Photoshop. Absolutely. Yeah. Fusion is great with that. In fact, I can kind of show you that here. So if we were to do something like just look at the color channels on this. So if we were to go to like red, green, blue, one of these is going to have a little bit better contrast here. And so red, green, blue. Red actually has some pretty good contrast here between the windowsill and everything, also on her skin and everything. It doesn't really work for the hair and stuff, but that's fine. So if we were going to make something like a Luma matte of some kind, we might consider using the red channel versus just the luminance channel. And what you can do is you can use something called color or channel booleans. Channel booleans with an S. You can run this into channel booleans. Make sure we're looking at our color here, and we can basically move our channels into different channels. And so to the red channel, I could say red channel background, which is going to be this yellow input, so this image. To green, let's also do red background, and to blue, let's do red background. And now we're just viewing the red channel everywhere. We can also switch the alpha to red channel, and that's going to essentially do like a Luma mat on itself. We might just want to do nothing with that. But that, we can use this with something like, I mean, we can either plug that directly into something or, and then use the mask threshold thing, or we could just put this into a brightness and contrast, and we can kind of do the same thing here, is adjust this to be really high contrast between the edge here and this black. Could do something like that. That would be cool. But that's generally how you would do something like that, is you would just blow out one side with black and one side with white, and then kind of go in and fix it. And so that would be a pretty good way to make a matte. That's not a bad way to do it. Of course, it doesn't really work well for each part of it, but for this edge, might be a pretty good way to do it. Depends on how much work you want to do and what you need to have done and everything. But yeah, so this, depending on how picky we want to get, is looking decent right here. Hey Spitfire, yeah, this is live. So let's just do like a magic mask and see how well that works on her hair here. Let's try that. So just say magic mask. I'm just hitting shift spacebar, and I'll just grab this original media, plug this in here to magic mask, draw this up here. We're just going to draw over her here like this. And with the magic mask, you want to get a really good matte first. That's the biggest thing. I can switch this to better. That's going to make her hair a little better. I'll just hold Alt and kind of drag a couple of these here. See if we can get a really good matte, because that's what it's going to use as the actual track. So yeah, that looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. It probably won't look quite as good over the actual background, but we can try it. Let's do magic mask, and then let's save this first. Let's track this back and forth and see how well it does. Ooh, that went pretty quick, huh? And it looks pretty good. The only thing with magic mask is that you tend to have things happen like this flickering right here. So where it's kind of flickering off and on, and it depends on how picky you want to get. So you can go in and try and find that. If it's like a quick meme or something where it doesn't matter if it's flickering a little bit, then you could just leave it. But that's going to give us kind of the general idea of what we're going for. Then we can put this over our background. Bloop. And that's going to do pretty good, actually. So she's in space now. She's in space. The only thing we want to do is adjust this side here. So let's grab that, and we can do this a bunch of different ways. Let's just view our original footage here. And we can probably just, I don't know. You can do this a bunch of ways. I'll just mask the original footage here like this. That's a quick and dirty way to do it. Turn off the rectangle, but make sure it's attached. And we'll just put this on here like this. It's a little bit of roto, depending on how much roto is it. Not that much. We should be okay. I'm gonna click the center here and then go back a few frames. I'm gonna go back all the way to like the beginning here, right to where it's like just about off screen. Okay, great. Then I'm going to go in between, like right in the middle here, and adjust this to be just right in the middle of those, adjust this to be just right, and so on until it's looking pretty dang good. That was pretty quick, roto. Okay, great. Put this over everything. Make sure to turn on our rectangle like this, and then soften that edge a little bit. I can even adjust the border width to make sure this is like a little bigger. I just want to match that, and then that should look pretty good. This edge isn't that great over there, but you would go through and adjust that. That's the idea. Still missing the right headphone. No, it's there. I don't think there's... Oh, the little hole there. Yeah, I missed the hole. It's true. It's true. Where's the space battle that's going on while she's chilling listening to music? Yeah, we could. That'd be fun. We should do like a fake window behind there too. So one thing, let's just grab like... So we have something called the Motion Graphics Starter Pack, which just has a bunch of like grunge and everything in it too, like grunge textures. So we could do something like, I don't know, it doesn't matter. Grab one of these. This is just like a wood texture even. You could probably blur this. We'll just set this to blur, just blur it enough. Put this over like that. And let's actually copy and paste this tracker instead of this merge. Put this in with the tracker like that. And we will use this, we'll use this right here as a mat. We'll just plug that into the mask right there. Just to do that, and that should pretty much do it. Something might be off a little bit with it. Wonder why that is. Something's weird with that. Oh, it's because it's not using the tracker for it. I see. Okay, here's what we do. Take this out. We're going to merge this over like this. Plug this in. Set this tracker to foreground only. Then merge it. So all I'm doing there is instead of having the tracker be the merge, I'm splitting it out and just having the tracker put the foreground on it, and then I'm merging it over. All right. Okay. Oh, the stars should be stationary and not match moved. Yeah, I guess it would depend on if you had a shaky camera like this. Yes. Or if you had it rotating, then they should move. If you just had the camera facing and it was just moving like this, then not necessarily. That's what's crazy about it. That's what's crazy. Anyway, we're going to say that it's okay for them to move. All right. We're going to take this and use this as a mask. There we go. And we're going to set this to, I don't know, something like screen probably. And we'll take the blend down like this. So now we have a little bit of a glass kind of effect on this. I don't know if you can see it on YouTube. I'll just push it up a little bit, a little more than I normally would. So now we have that kind of thing. We have that frost on the window, you know? Yeah. I've got to learn this. So cool. Anybody want to loan me $500? Oh boy. Don't put yourself out, guys. There's lots of free stuff on YouTube. We want to make sure that you can learn lots. But yeah, if you want to dive in and get crazy about Fusion, then our courses are the way to go, man. That's why we're making them. All right. So there's that. We can do all kinds of other stuff with this, but that's essentially how you would do it. You would take some more time and make this matte good. You would make this matte good, but it's a matter of matching that movement and just pasting your new background over that window, making sure that you can put her over that background. That's kind of the idea. That's kind of the idea. Now she's in space. All right. Yay. All right. We have, if anybody else has questions, let me know. This hasn't happened before. We got through all the questions pretty decently. But we can also start hitting the next thing too. We could work on some particles if you want. I'll try and figure out how I can use Element 3D in Fusion. You can't. You can't use element 3D in Fusion. It's just not a thing. That said, Fusion's own 3D stuff is quite good. Quite good. There are a lot of really easy, nice things about Element 3D that aren't quite as easy and nice in Fusion, but it can do very similar stuff. Okay. Particles. Let's talk particles. Sure. Particles are so much fun. Okay. Can make the stars with particles, maybe some space clouds. Sure. The thing is, though, like, you don't need to make stars with particles. You could. If we want to have the stars moving and have parallax in them, then that might be a good way to do it. Can I import 3D things from Blender into Fusion? Yes, you can. You can. In fact, again, in our motion graphics starter kit, we have some 3D stuff. So like, check this out. Bumpy plane. This is made in Blender. All right. And I know it's not that impressive, but it is 3D that we made in Blender. And then you can bring this into Fusion and work on it, right? We also have like a rounded cube, all kinds of cool stuff, but it's not just that. You can, it's probably like, great, I guess that's cool. You can also, let me find something cool here. See if I have something that's fun. I've been doing a lot of this lately. I'm trying to find one that I actually can show you. Doopy doopy doo. Panel, I don't forget what that is. I don't know what this is, but oh wait, that's an OBJ. Doopy doo. Hold on. Hold on now. Let's see if this is right. Hopefully it works. Yay, look, it works. Okay, so this is like a toolbox that I made in Blender that we can just import right into Fusion. Isn't that sick? Like with all the materials and the reflectivity and the bump maps and the normal maps and the roughness and all of that stuff, you can totally just import into Fusion. Isn't that crazy? I think it's neat. We have U-render, you could do U-merge, U-dome, light, plooch. Yeah. Do all kinds of cool stuff with this. Depending on what you're doing. You transform. We can rotate this. So now we have in our renderer, set this to scene lighting. I think that I have U visibility. I think I have some stuff on. There we go. Yay. Cool, right? Are these rigged Andrew Kramer stuff worked also in Fusion without Element? It depends. I forget what the format is. I'm not sure on that. If they're like an FBX or something, maybe. Maybe. Yeah, I think it's a pretty cool toolbox. I think it's pretty cool. There's a couple of shading problems with it that I've since learned how to get better at. But this was an early test thing that we've been kind of playing around with for some more advanced tutorial stuff, but isn't that cool? That's fun. That's fun. Yeah, needed weighted normals. Yeah, I think that would fix it. Yep, that was before I learned about all that. Where's the tiny bus? We just ran over a tiny bus. 3D object from Blender into Fusion. Absolutely. It's no problem. All right, foot portrait. Have a good day. Have a good sleep. But yeah, so I mean, the 3D stuff in Fusion is just overpowered. It's seriously so good, and no one's talking about it. In fact, I'm going to make a 3D, like a whole 3D thing here in the next couple of weeks. We're going to have a video out about the 3D system in Fusion and how great it is and all the basics, and it's just like a big masterclass on 3D stuff. Cool? That's going to be fun. But for now, let's talk some particles, shall we? So let's just grab a background here, and we might put stuff over it now that I'm thinking of it. I don't know. For the particle system, you need a particle emitter and a particle renderer. You always pretty much just plug those in like that. Okay. Let's look at the particle renderer. By default, the particle renderer is a 3D world. It's like a 3D particle system. And so I don't know if you can see this or not, but there is a sphere of little dust particles going on. And what we can do is we can set each of those little particles to do their own thing. That's the cool thing about particle system. If you haven't worked with it, basically what it is it's a system where it makes a ton of little instances of whatever you want, and each instance has like its own little brain. And so each one of them reacts to certain things. It goes a certain direction. It has a bunch of properties, has speed, it has, scale, rotation, all of that stuff. And so this is just a group of kind of individual little things. So we can use this emitter, because what the emitter does is it basically builds the particles. It births the particles and says, okay, this particle is going to be here and it's going to have all of these initial properties. Go. So we're going to tell this emitter what kind of particles to make. We can go over to style, and here where it says style point, this is making like little tiny points, like 1 pixel. So instead of point, let's go to blob. Blob is going to make bigger points that actually have some size to them. You can take this size down and look at all these little dots we can make, right? And again, this is in 3D space, which is cool. The other thing you can do is here under render, under output mode, you can switch this to 2D, and that's just going to make a 2D image. And you should be able to see stuff. The sizing and stuff for that is a little different. But here, this is going to make a whole bunch of dots within a circle. So depending on what you're wanting to do, if you want 2D particles or 3D particles, you would set that in the p-render. Does that make sense so far? So we have two things. Emitter, which makes all the particles and tells them what to do and how to look and all that stuff. Then we have the renderer, which basically tells Fusion, is like takes a picture of them, kind of. It turns that from a bunch of math into an image in some way. Or if it's in 3D mode, it turns it into 3D things that can interact with other things. Okay. How to fix comp size issue using a loader to bring in a small image through a transform node to size it up. Makes comp the image size even though it started to with the background node to set the comp size to 4K. If that loader is not the very background of things, it's going to set it to the loader's size, even if you have a transform after it. You have to set your very, very background, I say background node. It doesn't have to be a background node per se, but the image that's in the background, the resolution for whatever's in the background is setting your comp size. So I would make sure that your loader is merged on top of that background. So if it's like background here, sure, doesn't matter. It needs to be set up like this for that to work, for it to use this background. If you just make the background first and you're like, great, I have this and now I can do whatever I want, that's not going to work. It doesn't work that way. It also doesn't work if you switch these and you have the loader in the background and then the background in the foreground. Does that make sense? You have to have the background as the actual active background image. If you don't want like a black background, you can set it to black and take this alpha all the way down, and that's going to make a clear background. And it really won't make any difference other than it's going to set the comp size. Yeah. All right. Yeah, no worries, JB. It's okay. DaVinci looks more powerful than what I've seen. I've canceled my subscription to Adobe 5 months ago and recently got into DaVinci and Affinity instead. Yeah, that's what I use. DaVinci and Affinity. I think it's wonderful. Okay, so we have the emitter and we have the renderer. So this emitter can set all kinds of properties for these particles. So we could take these particles and set them to blob. We can change the size. We could change the color. So we could make these pink if we want to. Great. Now it's pink. Let's put these over black. I'm just going to merge this render over black so we can see what the heck's going on. And so not only can we decide what color they are and how big they are, we can also have them change over time. So we could take this size over life thing. We could have these get smaller as they get older. And so depending on how old the particle is, the smaller it gets, right? You can do all kinds of stuff like that. We could have it get really big and then small. So it kind of goes like that. We could, let me make a new comp here. Just because I want to set the timing a little differently. Make a new fusion comp. So at 0 frames, the first frame, we're going to make 10 particles. The reason I know that is because here at particle emitter, under number, this is set to 10. I can set this higher, and that's going to make more particles each frame. So every frame, it's going to make 100 particles. So within 10 frames, we're going to have 1,000 particles laying around. We can adjust the lifespan, so how long they last, and let's make this, they do 20 frames. And so they're only around for 20 frames. And so we kind of get this, popcorny look, which is kind of fun. We can also set a velocity. So we could push this velocity, and that's going to shoot them to the right here. And everything that we do, depending on how natural you want it to look, you might want to add some variance to things. So what I can do is push up velocity variance. That's going to push out some of them faster and some of them slower. It's going to look more natural, right? I could switch over to style, and here where we have size, we could say size variance. We can make some of these big and some of these small. And so that's going to make that look a little bit more natural. We could do color variance. So maybe we'll make some of these a little less red. So some of these are pink, some of these are purple. It's going to make it a little more natural, right? The more variance you add to something, generally, the more natural it looks, okay? John says, Casey, I'm just about finishing up Zero to Hero. Wanted to say that it's been an absolute blast. Just completed the particle section. I'm deep into its 3D section, loving every minute. That's so great, John. So great. I would love to hear any feedback that you have. We are trying to make that course the best ever. So please let us know. The S and M before the node name mean? S is for shape. Like P is for particles. M. I don't know if we have an M. I don't remember there being an M. I don't think there is. Yeah, U, like U merge. Yeah, so that's like USD merge. Yeah, so there's like 3D stuff, and then there's the USD 3D stuff, which is sort of newer. It's just a different 3D system. And so anything that's kind of a different system has those little tags. So S for shapes, P for particles, U for USD. Yep, P merge. Yep, particle merge. That's what that is. Hey, Steve Roberts. Guys, say hi to Steve Roberts. That guy invented Fusion, so just say hey. Say thank you, please. That's pretty cool. And I know that sounds like a joke. Like, no, he literally did, though. Like, for real. It's funny. He introduced himself once, and he's like, hey. And he said, and he talks like this. And he says, I invented Fusion, you know. And I go, okay, bud. All right. And it wasn't until later that I felt really embarrassed because he actually did. And I was like, oh gosh, this guy's crazy. Because I couldn't believe it, you know, because you guys know how big of a fan I am. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Anyways, so particles. So anytime that you add variance to something, it kind of looks more natural, which is fun. Let's go back to the emitter. And then there's also kind of the idea of doing things over life here. So that size over life makes it bigger and then smaller like that. You can have it fade. So you can take in either of these little threshold things. If I push this all the way to the left, it's going to be at full strength. This first, you know, like 8% of its life. And then the rest of it, it's going to go down almost kind of like this chart, and it's going to fade out. So now these all kind of just fade out, which is a little hard to see because these are shooting off screen at Mach 5. But if we don't do that, then we'll see these are kind of just fading out like that. It's almost like they're masked, but they're actually just, each one of them is fading out, which is cool. So we could push up some lifespan variants, and some of them will live longer and some of them will be shorter, right? Kind of like us in life. Serious moment. Okay. All right, so we have that going on. That's kind of cool. This velocity variance is actually more than our velocity, so that's why some of these are going to the left, like this. Where's my thing? Okay, my drawing thing is off now. So this is why I edit my videos, because half the time my stuff doesn't work. Anyways, so now we have this going on, which is cool. We can also check this out. This is neat. We could go to our emitter. Let's just reset our emitter. Let's say we want to make some snow. All right. We can go to region, which that is the shape that defines where all the particles start. So we could switch this to something like line. And by default, it's just 2 dots in the middle. But as I stretch these out, we can make a line that will actually spawn these particles. All right. Let's switch the style to blob. Make this a little bigger so we can see it. And then let's push some velocity into this. And let's do the angle and push it down maybe, just so we can see. This kind of dropping particles along this line. We can adjust this line like this. So if we want to make some snow, we can just kind of put this up here like this. And it's snowing, yay. Okay, it doesn't really look like snow yet. Okay, but we will make it look like snow. So it's snowing, sort of. It's perfectly snowing, all at the exact same size and exact same speed, all at once, and it's all starting across the sky perfectly. All right. So it's not the most convincing effect, but we can do some stuff to change that. First thing, we could go to style and push up size variance. That's going to make these much bigger, or much different sizes like that. Size variance, that helps. Let's do velocity variance. Push that in a little bit. So now we have some going fast and some going slow. Now we're getting there. Now we're getting there. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. We have snow, but we all know that snow doesn't just fall perfectly straight down, right? It kind of goes like, wow, wow, wow. Say it with me. Wow, 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 wow. So let's add a little bit of wobbliness to this. We can put these particles through a field of some kind, an effect. And let's bring up an effect called turbulence. It starts with a P, but just like a pterodactyl, it starts, the sound starts with a T. So this is just called turbulence, even though you could call it perturbulence. So using this turbulence, we can have it add a little bit of wobbliness. It's like kind of putting it through air noise. Parts of it kind of move things around, and we can kind of change this density to kind of change how this looks. See, now we're getting some pretty good snow happening. Some pretty good snow. Now, let's say that we don't want this to perfectly start right when our video starts. We can take this render, and here where it says pre-generate frames, we could pre-generate frames, I don't know, like 40 frames or something. And now it starts with the snow all the way going. And so now we just have the snowy background. So if you want to make a snowy graphic, that's all you got to do. Set up those particles, you get snow. In fact, if you want to make this kind of cartoony, you could go over to emitter, go to style, instead of blob, you could switch this to brush, and well, guess what? There's a dang snowflakes. There's snowflakes. Take this size down a little bit. We can even have these twist or spin. Let's push up the Z variance, something like that. So now we have these little snowflakes all falling. Isn't that nice? Put up some colors and it'll look like Christmas. Exactly. Exactly. Can we make multicolor particles, something like fireworks? Yeah, absolutely. You can have things color over life, which is really neat. So I'll switch this back to... Switch this style back to blob. We can do color over life. This is cool. So you can kind of set up a gradient. So we'll have this end in blue and start with pink. Sure. Okay. And depending on the lifespan of these, some of them, they'll start pink and then fade to blue, which is cool. You can even have the particles, each particle spawn other particles. So like after a certain amount of time, they like explode into multiple particles. I mean, it's so deep. It's just crazy deep. Yeah. I made my stream camera into a snow globe with Fusion last month. That's so cool. Dover, that's awesome. All right, we have some other questions here. How to make a static logo be animated so I could brag to a colleague and earn the bet. By the way, it's my channel's logo. Okay. I actually have quite a few videos on that, on animating your logo, that kind of thing. Essentially what you do is you have a, let's just grab some text here. So let's just say this is some logo that you like. Cool. This is my logo. It's really cool. Depending on what kind of logo you have and what the what's it called, the format of the logo and stuff is, you would have to break it up in some way and then animate it separately. That's kind of the way to go. So if you wanted to, so there's things that we can do with text, but let's just pretend that this is an image. Okay. Let's just pretend that this is an image of our logo, let's say. Okay, so we're just going to group, we're just going to do something like, I don't know. Great, so that's our logo, let's say, and I'll just group it, and we're just going to forget that that's text, okay? Logo. This is a logo. Okay, we could take something like this and then do something like put a mask on, let's just merge it over a background here, like this. Put a mask over this part or something. And we can animate each one separately. And it's basically that. It's like cutting it out with a bunch of masks and then animating them separately. That's really the way to go. Vampire dusting effect from Buffy. I would have to look that up. Are you talking about just somebody like breaking into dust or something? How do I fix comp size issue using a loader, bringing in a small? Yeah, I think we looked at that. Okay. Can we edit like Ayman Ghazi styles or other styles of motion graphics? You can do any kind of motion graphics you want to do. Pretty much. Pretty much any kind of style. Yeah. So depending on what it is, the difference is if you actually have an image, then you would have a mask input kind of thing here. But yeah. I'm trying to think if I have a logo like that's easy. I do have a logo that's easy. Let me show you. So for instance, we have this logo that's like adventure awaits. It's an adventure awaits logo. Okay. Say we have this logo and we want to animate it. We would have to, the easiest way is if you can get a hold of the original vector file or the Photoshop file or something and split it into layers, because you'd want to animate those. Worst case, you could probably go in and kind of redraw this and kind of split it up in Fusion. It's not that big of a deal to do something like that. Can you make fireworks in Fusion? Yep. Yeah, it's just, it would be a particle that makes other particles, do all kinds of stuff like that. But anyway, so you'd have something like this. So I have this split up into different layers. So I have this thing, I have the lines that go over it. We can use this as a mask for those lines like this. And then you can animate the lines separately using a transform, right? And so you could kind of animate those lines across the logo. Right. Can those particles hit an obstacle and stay there? Yes. Yeah, you can set it to interact with like a floor. And I think it's called P floor, I'm pretty sure. And then is that right? No, it's P, what is it? Shut up, Dan. Gosh, he's laughing in the background. It is funny though. P bounce might work, might do it. Anyway, there's ways to do it for sure. Yeah, particles can hit objects via bounce. Yep. All right. So yeah, I mean, you can do all kinds of stuff here. We can add the stars, and have those move around, fade those in, do any of that stuff. And really, you're just building it in layers and then animating each layer separately. Just because there isn't a layer panel doesn't mean that it's essentially the same thing. Bring back Bimmy. Steve loves Bimmy so much. We had a serious conversation the other day about like, should we do more? Like, we were talking about doing like some big video about Bimmy and like bringing it back. And we're like, yeah, like 4 people would really love that. It is true. 4 people or so would really love that. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, that's how you would do like the logo thing. It's essentially that. Does that help? Yeah. Camera Tim is 3 of the 4. Yes. Oh man, that's great. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to be heading out here pretty quick. Is there anything else that you'd like to see a little bit of that wouldn't be? Do a course with animation in Fusion, please. We have so many of those. We have several long YouTube videos about animation in Fusion. We also have a course called Motion Graphics in Fusion, or Pro Motion Graphics in Fusion, which goes through all kinds of animation and art and cool stuff in Fusion. We also have a course called Keyframe Animation Made Simple, which goes over how to do keyframe animation in Resolve and then dibs into Fusion a little bit. What's up, Patrick Sterling? Good to see you, man. How can I do a stroke fill reveal image logo? How I can do stroke fill reveal image logo. Stroke fill reveal image logo. Can you guys hear Dan laughing? He's just, it makes me so mad. You basically bought all my courses? That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Do you still feel like you don't understand animation? Is there something that's lacking? Let me know. Let us know in the Discord. I would love to hear that. Make a stroke to an image. Oh, like, so just give any image a stroke? Okay, so yes and no. What you could do would be to work with like the alpha channel on this. So like if we wanted to make this into a stroke, this is just a PNG, right? So unless there isn't any fancy way to do that. Is there, Steve? I don't think so. But one thing that you could do would be to do something like I could make a background that's this exact same color, and I could do something like mask this background with that media, and then do something like paste this and then do like a transform, and then, or actually I could take like a alpha matte shrink and grow, and I could do something like this and then like shrink this like that. And then plug this in with like a inverted or something. And that could make that into a outline. It's basically just like taking the original image and then kind of cutting it out. Actually, you could do that without doing the background. You could just do that like this. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, so I mean, you could do that. You could do a mask around it and make it, but as far as like an automated way to do it on an image, yeah, you would have to do something like that. And you could do that with really anything. So if I had this mountain thing, I could do something like this and do a alpha matte shrink grow like that and set this mask to inverted. So I'd have a stroke, right? Like that. And then we could even do something like use that as a mask for a fill and then put this over itself. And then you could have like a black stroke around it in that way. So you kind of automate it that way. And then you could have this kind of stroke like that. Yeah. I got 3 courses, definitely made me understand Fusion a lot more coming from After Effects. Awesome. Awesome, Retro World Studio. That's awesome. When I bring a piece of media into Fusion from the keyframes screen, I can control when it starts, but it seems like I can't control when it stops showing on the screen. No, you can. You can. So like in the keyframes panel here. So for instance, like this media, let's just uncheck show selected. So you're talking about like, are you talking about an image or footage? Because you can grab the edge of this and kind of roll it back just like you would in the edit page you can kind of like edit with these little layer things and have them exist in time, move them back and forth like that. Outer stroke effect in the templates folder. Oh. Really? Is that a thing? I like never look in the templates. Outer stroke. Well, hey, let's just take a look at that. Huh. That's a little janky, actually. How is this made? It's pretty much the same way. It's pretty much exactly how I was doing it. There's a background with an erode dilate, which is very similar to the shrink grow. Yeah, it's pretty much the exact same way. I was accidentally awesome again. All right. Cool. That's cool. I love that. All right. Well, hey guys, this has been fun. Thank you for hanging with me. Yeah, I really appreciate you guys coming out and doing a little bit of little bit of Q&A. And again, yeah, the course is on sale this week, so make sure to don't miss that if you've been thinking about getting the Fusion course, Fusion 0 to Hero. And if not, then I have so many YouTube videos on Fusion, and I would love to teach you. And if you have any questions or comments or anything, leave them on the videos. We look at all of them. We don't necessarily respond to every single one of them, but we're trying our best to keep up because we do get a lot. But thank you guys so much. You're wonderful. And yeah, thanks for hanging out. I'll see you guys later. Goodbye. Bye now. Bye-bye.